Ethan had always been curious, maybe too curious for his own good. He was a human traveler who loved finding lost places across strange worlds. His small ship had landed on a forgotten planet, a world covered with thick jungles and broken ruins. Local traders at the spaceport had warned him with serious faces. They said never touch the statue inside the old temple. They said anyone who disturbed it would never return. Ethan laughed at the warning. To him it sounded like a local legend meant to scare outsiders. He had seen plenty of those before. The temple was hidden behind roots and vines, its stone doors half broken. Inside it smelled of dust and ancient air. His boots made soft crunches on the cracked floor as he walked deeper. In the center of the chamber stood the statue, tall and glowing faintly with crystal veins running through it. It was shaped like a woman, but not human. Her features were sharp and alien, her skin smooth like polished stone, and her chest glowed with faint light as if something inside still lived. Ethan felt a chill but also excitement. He walked around it, shining his small flashlight. The face of the statue looked almost alive. The lips curved gently, the eyes closed as if sleeping. The longer he stared, the more real it seemed. He muttered to himself, "Creepy, but beautiful." His voice echoed in the quiet temple. For a moment he thought about leaving. He remembered the warnings. He remembered the serious faces of the locals, but his playful side pushed forward. With a half smile, he reached out, extended a finger, and poked the statue's chest like it was some kind of joke. The moment his finger touched the stone surface, everything changed. The faint glow inside the statue burst brighter. The eyes of the figure snapped open, not stone now, but living, glowing with strange golden light. Ethan's breath caught, his heart slammed in his chest. He pulled his hand back in panic, but too late. The statue moved, her arm rose with sudden life. Her stone fingers wrapped around his wrist with surprising strength. The touch was warm, not cold like rock. Her lips parted and she whispered something in a strange tongue. The sound was soft and haunting. It was not human, not like anything Ethan had ever heard, yet somehow deep in his mind, he understood the meaning. The whisper said, "At last." "The spark awakens me," Ethan froze. His mind raced. He wanted to believe he was dreaming. He whispered back, "What? What are you?" The statue, no, the woman, tilted her head. Her long hair of crystal threads shimmered faintly as if alive. "Guardian," she whispered again. "You woke me." Ethan tried to pull away, but her grip held tight. Not hurting him, but firm. Her glowing eyes looked deep into his. He felt like she could see through him. Through every thought and memory, she spoke again. The human hand breaks the silence, the old cycle begins. The walls of the temple started to respond. Strange symbols carved in the stone began to glow. Lines of blue light spread like rivers across the walls. The floor vibrated under Ethan's boots. The air became heavy, charged with energy. "Wait, I didn't mean to..." Ethan tried to explain. His voice shook. He laughed nervously. "I was just kidding, just a poke. That's all." The alien woman's lips curved into the faintest smile, but it was not a friendly one. "It was ancient, knowing and sad," she whispered again, her voice soft yet heavy like thunder hidden under silk. "No joke, human, you called me back. And now the hunters will come." Ethan's stomach dropped. He looked toward the dark entrance of the temple. For the first time he noticed a shadow moving outside. Something was watching, something waiting. The woman released his wrist at last, but her presence filled the chamber. Her body no longer looked like stone, she breathed, her chest rising, her eyes alive, her skin, though still glowing faintly, looked soft and real. Ethan stepped back slowly, trying to make sense of what had just happened. He thought of running back to his ship, leaving this cursed temple, leaving this strange woman. But something in her eyes held him in place. Something told him it was already too late. The glowing lines on the walls flared brighter. A deep rumble echoed through the ruins. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the jungle fell silent. Too silent, as if every creature had hidden. The woman took a slow step toward him, her bare feet making no sound. She whispered his name, though he never told her. "Ethan," he shivered. "How do you know my name?" he asked. His voice came out as a whisper, too. She only gave a faint smile and said, "Because you are the one I was waiting for." Her words filled him with fear and wonder. He had come to this planet for adventure, but what he found was something else entirely. He didn't know yet if it was a miracle or a nightmare. All he knew was that the statue was no statue anymore, and his life had just changed forever. Ethan could not believe what he was seeing. The alien woman, who only moments ago had been a statue of stone, now stood breathing in front of him. Her eyes glowed faintly like molten gold. Her hair shimmered with crystal strands that shifted as if alive. He stumbled back, his flashlight shaking in his hand. The woman raised a finger to her lips, whispering softly, "Do not fear, human." Her voice was low, like a melody carried through hollow caves. It was strange, alien, but still he understood her words as if they were translated directly into his thoughts. Ethan's mind screamed to run. His instincts told him to get out of the temple and never look back. But his body froze, trapped by her gaze. "You were asleep," he whispered, his voice trembling. "For how long?" She closed her eyes for a moment, then whispered, "Centuries. Ages beyond your measure." Her words sent shivers down his spine. "I am the Guardian, sworn to watch over the sealed gate." Ethan glanced at the glowing walls, the strange symbols that now pulsed with light. The air felt alive with power. He swallowed hard. "Why me? Why now?" Her golden eyes opened again, locking onto him. "Because only a human spark could awaken me. It is written in the old prophecy. The touch of one born under distant stars would end my silence." Ethan shook his head, trying to laugh, but the sound came out dry. "I didn't awaken you on purpose. I was just poking a rock statue for fun." The Guardian tilted her head, studying him as though every heartbeat revealed a secret. Then she whispered, "Intent does not matter, choice or chance. The spark has been given, the cycle has begun." Suddenly, a deep growl echoed from outside the temple. Ethan froze. His flashlight beam swung toward the doorway. Through the crack in the broken stone doors, he thought he saw movement, shadows shifting unnaturally. The Guardian's expression hardened. She reached out and grabbed his arm, her fingers warm and firm. "We must leave. They will come now." "Who?" Ethan whispered. His throat was dry. "The hunters," she whispered back. Her voice trembled for the first time. "They always wait for the moment of awakening. They smell my freedom, and they will not stop until I am theirs again." Ethan pulled his arm free, panic rising. "Hunters? What are they? Soldiers? Beasts?" She shook her head, her hair glimmering faintly in the dim glow. "Both and neither. They are shadows given flesh. They serve the empire that once chained me. And now that you have broken the seal, they will come for you too." Ethan cursed under his breath. His ship was parked in the jungle, but to get there he would have to pass through whatever those shadows were. He glanced at the Guardian. "Can't you fight them? You're some kind of ancient protector, right?" She looked down, her eyes dim for a moment. "I am not whole yet. My strength has only begun to return without time." "I am weaker than the smallest soldier," Ethan groaned. "Great, so basically, I woke up a powerful Guardian who can't fight." He rubbed his face, already regretting his curiosity, but then her voice softened, almost kind. "No, not powerless. My knowledge remains. My eyes see paths your kind cannot see. Together we may survive." Ethan blinked at her. "Together?" "Yes," she whispered. "The prophecy chose you. Human spark and Guardian flame. Bound now, if I fall, you fall. If you fall, I return to silence forever." Ethan wanted to argue, to say this was insane, but the sound of scraping stone at the temple entrance silenced him. He spun around and saw a dark-clawed hand pulling against the broken door. The air grew colder. A low hiss seeped through the cracks. The Guardian whispered, "They are here." Without waiting, she pulled him toward a side passage, a narrow tunnel carved deep into the stone. Ethan stumbled after her, nearly dropping his flashlight. The tunnel walls pulsed faintly with the same glowing veins as the main chamber. He could hear the hunters entering the temple behind them, their steps soft but heavy, their breath rattling like broken machines as they moved deeper. Ethan whispered harshly, "This is insane. I shouldn't even be here. I should be on my ship flying far away." The Guardian turned her head slightly, her golden eyes glowing in the tunnel. "If you run, they will follow. They will find your ship. They will spread across your skies. You cannot escape the fate you touched." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Fate? I don't believe in fate." She leaned closer, her whisper brushing against his ear. "Then believe in survival." The tunnel opened into a wider chamber underground. Old carvings covered the walls, strange beasts, warriors, and stars. Ethan stopped to catch his breath. His heart was pounding. Sweat covered his forehead. He looked at her again. "What exactly are these hunters after, you?" Her face darkened. "Not only me, they want what I guard. They want the knowledge sealed away in this temple." If they take it, entire worlds will fall. Ethan rubbed his temples. Perfect, just perfect. So not only did I wake you up, I also started some kind of galactic disaster. She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch strangely calming. Her whisper was steady now. No, human. You may be the reason I awoke, but you may also be the reason the galaxy is saved. Ethan stared at her, his mouth open. He wanted to laugh, to scream, to deny it all. But the echo of the hunter's claws scraping against the stone walls reminded him this was real. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt he was no longer a simple traveler chasing ruins for fun. He was part of something far larger, something older than humanity itself. And as the Guardian's golden eyes shone in the dark, he realized running away might not even be an option anymore. Ethan's chest burned as he ran. The narrow tunnels twisted in strange patterns, lit only by the faint glow of crystal veins running through the stone. Behind them, the sound of scraping claws and heavy breaths grew louder. The hunters were inside the temple, and they were not moving slowly. The Guardian's bare feet moved soundlessly, her golden eyes glowing faintly ahead of him like lanterns. She whispered without turning her head, "Do not stop. If they touch you, you will not rise again." Ethan forced himself to keep going. His legs ached, his lungs screamed, but fear pushed him forward. He wanted to ask what the hunters really were. But deep down, he already knew the answer would only scare him more. A sudden screech echoed down the tunnel. The sound was sharp like metal tearing. Ethan flinched, nearly dropping his flashlight. He turned his head just enough to see shadows shifting unnaturally behind them. Shapes crawling along the walls and ceiling as if gravity did not matter. Their glowing eyes shone like burning coals. Faster, the Guardian whispered. Grabbing his hand, her grip was strong, steady, pulling him even when his body wanted to collapse. The tunnel finally opened into a wider cavern. Stalactites hung above like teeth, and the floor was littered with broken stone. Ethan stumbled, catching himself against the wall. He tried to breathe, his chest heaving. "They'll catch us," Ethan gasped. "We can't outrun things that move like that." The Guardian turned to him, her face calm but serious. "You are human, unpredictable. Use that." Ethan blinked at her. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before she could answer, one of the hunters dropped from the ceiling with a hiss. Its body was long and black, almost liquid in the way it moved. A mask-like face twisted with sharp teeth as it lunged forward. Ethan yelped and swung his flashlight. The beam hit the creature's face. It screeched, clawing at the light. "Light hurts them," Ethan realized aloud. He tightened his grip on the flashlight and shouted, "Stay back," even though his voice shook. The Guardian nodded faintly. Not hurt, but blind. Clever. Two more hunters crawled from the walls. Surrounding them, Ethan's heart pounded. He looked around the cavern, searching desperately. Then he spotted a narrow gap between fallen rocks, too small for the creatures to enter easily. "This way," Ethan said, dragging her toward the rocks. They squeezed through the gap just as the hunters lunged. The creatures slammed into the stones, snarling, their claws scraped, sparks flying. The Guardian crouched low beside Ethan. Her eyes glowed as she studied the rocks. "You chose well. They cannot fit their full forms through." Ethan wiped sweat from his face. "Yeah, but they're not going to give up. They'll just wait for us to come out." She tilted her head, then whispered, "You think in paths I do not. That is why you are dangerous to them." Ethan laughed nervously. "Dangerous? Lady, I'm just trying not to die here." The Guardian leaned closer, her voice soft. "And that is why you will live." The shadows hissed and scraped outside the rocks. Ethan's flashlight flickered. The battery was dying. He bit his lip, panic rising. "We can't sit here forever." He scanned the cavern. His eyes landed on a loose stalactite above the entrance of the rock gap. He smirked. "All right, let's try something stupid." Climbing onto the rocks, he grabbed a smaller stone and threw it at the base of the stalactite. It cracked but did not fall. He threw again, harder. The hunters hissed and tried to crawl closer, reaching claws through the gap. "Almost," Ethan muttered. He raised the rock again, smashing it against the stalactite base. With a loud crack, the massive stone broke free. Crashing down onto the cavern floor, dust exploded into the air, and the hunters shrieked as the falling rock pinned one of them to the ground. Ethan coughed, waving dust away. His heart pounded. Didn't kill it, but slowed them down. The Guardian's lips curved faintly into a smile. "Human trickery, unexpected." "This is your weapon." Ethan dropped down beside her. "Yeah, well, I've got plenty more stupid ideas if we live long enough." The Guardian placed her hand gently on his chest. Her touch warm even through his shirt, she whispered. Do not doubt yourself. In chaos you thrive, in chaos humans always rise, he swallowed hard. Not sure how to answer, instead he forced himself to focus. We need to move before they break free. They slipped out of the gap and hurried deeper into the cavern. The air grew colder and the glow of the crystal veins dimmed as if warning them. Ethan's flashlight flickered again. Barely holding on, behind them the hunters howled, furious. The sound shook the cavern walls. Ethan gritted his teeth. They're not stopping. They're just getting angrier, the Guardian whispered, her golden eyes fierce now. They will chase us until the stars burn out. That is their nature. But we will not fall tonight. Ethan gave a nervous laugh. You talk like you already know the ending. Her eyes softened for a moment. Perhaps I do. As they ran deeper, the cavern split into 2 tunnels. Ethan stopped, breathing hard. Which way? The Guardian closed her eyes, placing her palm against the wall. The crystals pulsed faintly under her touch. She opened her eyes and whispered, Left, it leads to the surface, the right leads to the gate. We cannot go there yet, Ethan nodded. Left it is. They darted into the left tunnel, their footsteps echoing. The sound of the hunters behind them faded slightly but never disappeared. Ethan's flashlight finally flickered off, plunging them into darkness. But the Guardian's golden eyes glowed brighter. Guiding them forward for the first time, Ethan realized he wasn't just running with an alien woman. He was running with a living legend. And though fear burned inside him, another feeling stirred as well, a strange excitement, a sense that maybe, just maybe, he was meant for this after all. The tunnel finally opened into a wide chamber. The air inside was warmer, filled with the faint scent of burnt stone and dust. Ethan leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. His shirt was soaked with sweat, his legs trembled, but he forced himself to stay on his feet. He could still hear the distant echoes of the hunters behind them. Slower now, but not gone. The Guardian stood in the middle of the chamber. Her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark, she was calm. Too calm for someone being chased by monsters. Ethan wiped his forehead and muttered, All right, I think I deserve some answers. Who are you, really? And what did I just drag myself into? She turned slowly, her crystal hair catching the dim light. Her expression softened. Almost human. You deserve to know, human. You woke me. And now our paths are bound. She lowered her voice to a whisper, her words heavy. I am not only a guardian. I was once a warrior priestess of the Starborn. My people shaped worlds, healed skies, and carried knowledge older than empires. Ethan raised an eyebrow, trying to hide his nerves with sarcasm. Starborn, huh? Sounds fancy. What happened to them? Don't tell me they all turned into statues too. The Guardian's eyes darkened with sorrow. No, they fell. The empire you saw, the one that commands the hunters. They feared us. They feared the knowledge we protected. So they came in war, world by world, fire by fire. Until only fragments of my people remained, Ethan felt a chill. He could see pain in her eyes, even though her face was calm. She wasn't just telling a story, she had lived it, so. You were frozen here in that statue form, he whispered. Why? She stepped closer, her voice dropping lower. Because I was chosen to guard what they could never have. An archive, a weapon of truth. It lies beneath this planet still, hidden behind gates sealed with light. As long as I remained frozen, the hunters could not enter. They could only wait. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, his mind racing. And now I poked you awake, which means the seal is broken. The Guardian nodded slowly. Yes, the cycle has begun again. Ethan cursed under his breath. Great, just my luck. I come here for adventure, and instead I start some ancient war. The Guardian tilted her head, studying him. You blame yourself? But you should not. You did what fate required. Your spark was always meant to wake me. Ethan laughed bitterly. Fate, huh? I've never believed in that. I just thought I was a fool with itchy fingers. Her golden eyes softened. Perhaps both can be true, for a moment. Silence filled the chamber. The faint dripping of water echoed. Ethan stared at the glowing symbols carved into the walls. They told stories he couldn't understand. Spirals of stars, battles, and strange beings kneeling before a figure that looked almost like the Guardian. He turned back to her. You keep talking about this archive. This weapon of truth, what exactly is it? Some kind of ultimate bomb? A planet killer? She shook her head, her voice soft. No, not a weapon of destruction. A weapon of knowledge. Within the archive lies the history of countless worlds. Secrets that could unmake empires built on lies. If the Empire takes it, they will twist it, erase it, control every voice in the galaxy, Ethan frowned. So basically, whoever controls this thing controls the story of the galaxy. Her lips curved faintly. You understand, that is why I was made to guard it. That is why the hunters rise whenever I awaken. Ethan paced the chamber, running a hand through his hair. All right, let me get this straight. You're a warrior priestess from some fallen people, trapped in a statue to protect this giant library of truth. I wake you up by accident. Now the bad guys are chasing us. And somehow I'm supposed to be part of all this, he gave a short laugh. Yeah, sounds like my worst vacation ever. The Guardian stepped closer, her golden glow brushing against him like warmth in the cold. Not vacation, Destiny, she whispered. The humans of Earth were never meant to stay hidden forever. You are proof of that, your unpredictability, your courage. They are what the galaxy has forgotten. Ethan stared at her. His throat tight, he wanted to argue, but deep down something about her words stirred him. He remembered how the hunters had flinched at his flashlight, how his quick thinking with the stalactite had saved them. Maybe she wasn't just flattering him. Maybe humans really were different. Before he could answer, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The echoes of hunters returned. Louder, closer. Ethan clenched his fists. Guess story time's over. The Guardian's eyes hardened. Yes, but remember what I told you, your tricks, your chaos. They are weapons the Empire does not understand. Ethan smirked faintly, though his heart raced. Good. Because I'm fresh out of laser guns. She placed a hand gently over his. Her skin warm, her whisper brushed his ear. Do not fear, Ethan, we will face them together. I swore to guard the archive, but now I swear to guard you too. Ethan met her glowing eyes. And for the first time, he didn't feel completely hopeless. He still didn't believe in fate, but maybe, just maybe, he believed in her. The sound of claws scraping stone filled the chamber as shadows began to pour into the tunnel behind them. The hunters had found them again. Ethan took a deep breath, ready to run, ready to fight, ready for whatever came next. The sky above the jungle was no longer quiet. Ethan and the Guardian stepped out of the tunnels onto the surface, only to see dark shapes moving across the clouds. Alien warships hung in the sky like predators, their metal hulls glowing with red lights. Engines hummed with power, and beams of light scanned the jungle below. Searching for them, Ethan's stomach twisted. Oh great, as if shadow monsters weren't enough, now we've got flying tanks. He ducked under a fallen tree, pulling the Guardian with him. The ships circled like vultures, their searchlights cutting through the thick leaves. The Guardian narrowed her golden eyes. The Empire has come, they know I am awake. They will not stop. Ethan peeked out from behind the trunk. Soldiers were dropping down from one of the ships. Tall armored figures with glowing weapons. Their helmets reflected the beams of light as they spread into the jungle, moving in patterns that looked precise and deadly. They're organized, Ethan whispered. Way too organized for us to just walk out of here. The Guardian crouched beside him, her voice soft. They are trained, but they are predictable. That is their weakness. Ethan gave a humorless laugh. Predictable doesn't help much when you're carrying sticks and they've got laser rifles, but even as he spoke, his eyes scanned the jungle. He noticed how the soldiers stepped carefully but never looked up, how the scanning beams didn't penetrate the thick canopy. Ideas began to spark in his mind. All right, maybe we can give them a headache, he muttered. The Guardian tilted her head. What are you thinking, human? Ethan grinned faintly. I'm thinking humans may not have claws or fancy weapons, but we're really good at being annoying. They crawled deeper into the undergrowth. Keeping low, Ethan grabbed vines and began to tie them loosely between trees. He used sharp stones to cut branches and balance them overhead. Crude traps, but fast ones. The Guardian watched silently, her eyes glimmering with faint amusement. Clever chaos, she whispered moments later. The first group of soldiers came close, their glowing weapons raised. Ethan held his breath as they passed under one of his makeshift traps. A branch snapped, dropping a heavy log from above. It smashed into two soldiers, knocking them to the ground. The rest turned in confusion, their formation breaking. Ethan and the Guardian slipped away quickly, the sounds of shouts and static filling the air. The soldiers fired into the trees, burning holes through the leaves. But hitting nothing, Ethan whispered, See? Predictable. They think everything's a direct fight. They don't get tricks. The Guardian touched his arm lightly, her voice soft but serious. Do not grow too confident, their numbers are endless. We must move faster. They ran deeper into the jungle, Ethan's heart pounding. The hum of ships above grew louder, and beams of light swept dangerously close. One beam caught his foot, the ground sizzling where it touched. He cursed and pulled back. They're scanning heat. They'll find us no matter what. The Guardian placed her hand against a nearby stone. Symbols carved into it glowed faintly. There is an old path here, hidden from their eyes, she whispered. With a faint push, part of the stone shifted. Opening a narrow passage leading downward, Ethan stared. A secret door? You've been holding out on me. She gave a faint smile. Not secret, only forgotten. Come. They slipped inside as the stone sealed behind them. The sounds of soldiers faded slightly, but not completely. Ethan exhaled slowly. Okay, temporary win, but what happens when they figure this out? The Guardian walked deeper into the hidden passage. Her voice calm. They will figure it out, but not soon enough. What matters is you continue to surprise them. That is something they cannot calculate. As they moved further underground, the walls glowed faintly with the same ancient light. Ethan's thoughts raced. He still couldn't believe how far this had gone. A simple joke, a poke at a statue. And now he was running from alien warships, dodging shadow monsters and sneaking through secret tunnels with an ancient alien priestess. He almost laughed. But the weight of danger pressed too heavily on his chest. They reached another chamber, this one larger, filled with strange pillars that glowed faintly. Ethan touched one and it hummed softly beneath his hand. What is this place? He asked. The Guardian lowered her head. A sanctuary built by my people long ago. A place to hide from the Empire. She looked at him, her eyes glowing warmly. Here, I can regain more of my strength. But only if you protect me. Ethan raised his eyebrows. Protect you? With what, rocks and branches? These guys have ships, drones, and guns that can melt stone. Her lips curved faintly. And yet with rocks and branches you already confused them. Do not doubt the power of human chaos. Before Ethan could answer, a loud explosion echoed from above. Dust fell from the ceiling. He cursed. They found the passage. The Guardian closed her eyes, her body glowing faintly brighter. Then I must act now, she raised her hands, and the pillars around them flared with light. Strange energy filled the air. Ethan's hair stood on end. The ground trembled, and for a moment he felt both fear and awe. Her whisper carried through the chamber. Your courage feeds my flame. Stay close to me. Ethan backed up, shielding his eyes from the glow. The stone above cracked, and alien soldiers began to drop down into the chamber, their weapons glowing, ready to fire, but this time, Ethan wasn't just afraid. He grabbed a chunk of rock, hurled it at the nearest soldier, and shouted, Welcome party's over. The Guardian's glow burst outward, knocking the soldiers off their feet. Together, human tricks and alien power clashed against the Empire's might. The jungle above shook with the force of battle. Ethan's heart raced. He didn't know if they could win, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't running anymore. Not now, not while she stood beside him. The battle in the sanctuary left the air heavy with smoke and dust. Ethan's arms ached from throwing rocks and swinging broken branches. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. The Guardian stood beside him, glowing faintly, her golden eyes fierce but her body trembling. She had burned much of her strength to drive the soldiers back. For a moment, silence returned. The last echoes of the Empire troops faded through the tunnels. Ethan wiped sweat from his forehead and muttered, I hope that was all of them. The Guardian shook her head slowly, her voice soft. No, that was only their hand. The full fist of the Empire has yet to strike, Ethan sighed, leaning against one of the glowing pillars. Great. Just what I needed to hear. The Guardian walked toward the far end of the chamber, her steps slow but purposeful. She placed her palm against the wall. Strange symbols lit up, spreading like fire across the stone. With a low rumble, the wall split apart, revealing a dark stairway that spiraled downward. Ethan straightened, staring. What now? Another creepy tunnel? Her eyes glowed brighter. No, the way to the archive, to what I was sworn to guard. Ethan hesitated, his stomach tightening. And what exactly are we going to find down there? Please tell me it's not another pack of shadow dogs. She looked at him seriously. No shadows, only truth. Together they descended. The air grew colder, each step echoing like a drumbeat. The walls of the stairwell shimmered faintly with carvings of stars and battles. Ethan ran his fingers over them, feeling grooves left by hands that had lived thousands of years ago. It made his chest tighten. This wasn't just history. It was something alive. At the bottom, the stairway opened into a massive hall. Ethan's eyes widened. The chamber stretched wider than a stadium, filled with towering crystal structures. Each one pulsed faintly with light like frozen flames. The air hummed, vibrating through his bones. "What is this?" Ethan whispered. His voice hushed as if speaking louder might break the moment. The Guardian's voice was soft but steady. "This is the archive of stars. It holds the knowledge of my people, everything they learned, everything they dreamed. It is no weapon of destruction, but it is more dangerous than any gun." Ethan frowned. "Dangerous knowledge, huh? Sounds like something the Empire would kill for." She nodded slowly. "Yes, with this, they could erase entire histories, twist truths, control every voice across the galaxy. That is why I was sworn to guard it. That is why they fear me." Ethan stepped closer to one of the crystal pillars. His reflection shimmered on its surface. Distorted as he touched it, the crystal pulsed, and for a brief moment images flashed in his mind. He saw alien worlds, cities of light, skies filled with ships unlike any he had imagined. Then the vision faded, leaving him breathless. "Whoa, it's alive." The Guardian placed her hand on another pillar. Her body glowed as the crystal pulsed in answer. "It is waiting for a keeper, for one who can guide it into the new age." Ethan took a step back, holding his hands up. "Don't look at me, I'm no keeper. I barely kept myself alive up there." Her golden eyes locked onto his. "You underestimate yourself. Human spark and Guardian flame must unite. That is the only way the archive can awaken fully." Ethan groaned. "Why does everything have to be me? I didn't ask for this, I didn't want this." She stepped closer, her voice lowering to a whisper. "Fate rarely asks permission." Before Ethan could answer, the hall shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The humming of the crystals turned sharp. As if warning, a blast tore open part of the upper wall. Empire soldiers dropped down with drones buzzing at their sides. Ethan cursed. Of course. They followed us. He ducked behind a crystal as energy bolts scorched the floor. The Guardian raised her hands, her glow flaring again, but Ethan saw her stagger. She was too weak to unleash her full power. The soldiers advanced carefully, their weapons pointed straight at her. Ethan's eyes darted around, his mind raced. He saw the crystals, pulsing with light, waiting. He thought of how one had shown him visions, maybe. Maybe they weren't just for knowledge, maybe they could do more. He shouted to the Guardian, "These crystals, can they fight?" She turned her head, her voice trembling. "Only if guided." "Only if awakened with will and chaos," Ethan gritted his teeth. "Chaos, huh?" "That I can do." He pressed both hands against the nearest crystal, pouring his fear, his anger, his stubborn will into it. The crystal flared so bright he had to squint. The floor trembled as light shot across the hall. Linking every pillar, the Empire soldiers staggered, their drones buzzing erratically. The Guardian gasped, her golden eyes wide. You connected with it," Ethan shouted. "Yeah, but I don't know what I'm doing." The crystal pulsed harder. Energy surged outward like a wave, washing over the soldiers. Their helmets flickered, their weapons shut down. They shouted in confusion as their machines failed one by one. Ethan stumbled back, panting. It worked. It actually worked. The Guardian placed her hand over his, steadying him. "Your chaos awakened the archive. It listens to you." The soldiers scrambled, retreating toward the hole in the wall. One shouted into a comm, calling for more reinforcements. Ethan clenched his fists. "They're not giving up. They'll just keep coming." The Guardian's voice was calm but firm. "Then we must leave with the archive's light. We cannot let it fall into their hands. Come, before the full weight of their fleet descends." Ethan glanced at the glowing pillars, the knowledge of civilizations pulsing like living hearts. For the first time, he didn't just feel fear. He felt responsibility. He turned to her, breathing hard. "All right, let's do this together." And as the chamber shook again from distant blasts, Ethan realized the archive wasn't just some alien treasure. It was now tied to him, to humanity, and to a war that was only beginning. The archive chamber trembled like a beating heart. Light pulsed through the crystal pillars, each one humming with ancient power. Ethan stood in the center, his chest rising and falling with sharp breaths. His hand still tingled from the surge of energy. The Guardian stood beside him, her golden eyes glowing brighter than ever above. The sounds of explosions shook the walls. The Empire's fleet was tightening its grip. Soldiers shouted in the distance, drones buzzed like angry insects. Ethan clenched his fists. They're not gonna stop. They'll send everything they've got, won't they? The Guardian nodded slowly, her voice soft but heavy. Yes, the Empire will never allow the Archive to live in freedom. To them, truth is more dangerous than fire. Ethan gave a humorless laugh. Yeah, figures lies are easier to control. The Guardian turned toward him, her crystal hair shimmering faintly. You still do not see, human. You are not here by chance. The prophecy said the Archive would never awaken until a spark from another world arrived. That spark was you, Ethan shook his head, pacing. No, I can't be some chosen one. I'm just a guy who poked the wrong statue. I don't lead revolutions. I don't save galaxies. Her hand touched his shoulder gently. Her whisper slid into his thoughts like a warm flame. You are human, that is enough. Her words froze him. He turned, staring into her glowing eyes. What's that supposed to mean? She smiled faintly, sadness hidden behind the curve of her lips. Humans are chaos. You do not follow the straight lines the Empire builds. You break patterns, you improvise, you create hope where none exists. That is why you were meant to wake me. Ethan's chest tightened. He thought of every crazy move he had made since meeting her. Throwing rocks, using light, dropping stalactites, setting traps. Tricks that no Empire soldier would ever think of. He realized she was right. He was chaos in a world that wanted order. The ground shook harder. Dust rained down. The sound of drilling echoed through the walls. The Empire was breaking in. Ethan swallowed hard. All right, prophecy or not, what do we do now? We can't fight an army forever. The Guardian stepped closer, her glow spreading across the chamber. We do not need to fight forever. Only long enough to carry the Archive beyond their reach. Ethan frowned. Carry it? You mean take this whole glowing library with us? That's impossible. She shook her head gently. Not the pillars. The light within it can live inside us if we let it. Ethan blinked. Wait, are you saying I can carry the Archive? Like in my head? Her whisper brushed against him, steady and calm. Yes, but it will not be in your head alone. It will live in your spirit, in your choices. In the chaos that no Empire can predict, Ethan laughed nervously. You're serious, aren't you? The Guardian stepped closer. Her hand sliding into his, her voice softened, almost tender. Yes, I am. And once it is within us, no chains, no walls, no army can silence it. Before Ethan could reply, the wall behind them exploded. Soldiers poured in, their weapons glowing. The drones buzzed forward, scanning. Ethan's heart slammed in his chest. He grabbed the Guardian's hand tighter. If we're doing this, do it now. The Guardian closed her eyes. Her glow spread like fire, leaping from crystal to crystal. The entire chamber blazed with light. Ethan felt it flood into him, his mind filled with visions, worlds spinning through space, voices of countless people, laughter, sorrow, history alive and burning. He gasped, clutching his head. But the Guardian steadied him, whispering, Do not resist, let it flow. You are not alone. The Empire soldiers froze, blinded by the burst of light. Their drones crashed into the ground. Sparks filled the air. Ethan staggered forward, the Guardian holding him steady. The crystals dimmed as their power moved into them. The Archive was no longer bound to stone, it was alive in their bond. Ethan raised his head, his eyes glowing faintly with the same golden light as hers. For the first time, he felt something new, clarity, purpose, and strength that wasn't just his own, he whispered. I feel it. The Guardian's lips curved into a small smile. Yes, the Archive breathes through you now. The galaxy will never be the same, soldiers shouted. Firing blindly into the chamber, Ethan pulled the Guardian with him, weaving through falling stone and broken light. They burst into a side tunnel, the path shaking as blasts echoed behind them. Ethan's lungs burned, but his spirit felt strangely calm. When they finally emerged into the jungle night, the sky was filled with fire. Empire ships burned in the distance, some still circling, others breaking apart. The hunters howled in fury, their shadows twisting and retreating. The Guardian looked up, her golden eyes reflecting the stars. She whispered softly, only for him. The war begins tonight, but it will not end with them victorious, not while humans walk the stars. Ethan stared at the sky, his fist clenched. The weight of the Archive burned inside him, but it was not a burden. It was a promise, he whispered back. Then let's make sure the galaxy hears us loud and clear. The Guardian stepped close, her voice almost tender. Together, Ethan met her eyes, and for the first time since this madness began, He believed that maybe a single human, armed with chaos and truth, really could change the stars.